Hi, Verbling. My name's Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and today we're talking about fairy tales. I'll put the notes in the chat box for you. And if you guys have any questions or comments on today's class, let me know on Facebook. And I'm going to put my Facebook name in the chat box for you as well. And if you can't reach me there, if you don't have a Facebook, you're welcome to message me on my Verbling profile as well. All right. Barbara, welcome to class.
Hi, how are you?
Hey. Good. I had you in my earlier class today too, didn't I?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. It's good to have you back. You changed your name.
Yes, because it was my surname. I made a mistake.
Got it. Okay,
This
that
is
makes
my
a lot of
first
sense.
name.
Good to have you back, Barbara. All right. Fernando, welcome to class.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you, Fernando?
I'm good, thank you.
Awesome. Any plans for this upcoming week?
No, just study English.
All right. Hey, that's a good plan.
Yeah.
Okay. Andre, welcome to class.
Hello, hello.
Good. How are you? I like your new picture.
Yeah, I am fine. Yet it is me.
Very cool. Where are you in that picture?
This place is near our city, about 600 kilometers away.
Wow, it looks amazing. It's a nice picture.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. And Ali Beck, welcome to class.
Hello, Michaela.
Hi there, Ali Beck. How are you?
Thank you, I'm good. And you?
Excellent. I'm doing really well. Did you have a nice weekend, Ali Beck?
Yes, pretty nice.
Excellent. Good to hear. Welcome to class. And Kim, welcome to class. Kim, are you there? All right, I'll come back to you, Kim. Audie, welcome back to class.
Thank you. Nice to meet you again.
Good to have you back with us, Audie. Paolo, welcome to class. Oops, Paolo's gone. How about Shinue? Are you there? I'm having a little trouble hearing you, Shinue. I can hear you, but it's really, really faint. It sounds like your microphone is like way over there.
Can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you a little bit better now. Good to have you with us.
Hello, teacher. I have seen a lot of videos you made in the Verbling.
Excellent. I'm very glad you've been enjoying those recorded videos.
I like your classes.
I'm glad to hear that. It's a great compliment. And it's a good idea for lots of students. We record all of the classes we do on Verbling, so if you guys ever want to go over a couple classes that you don't remember, or if you just have a few spare minutes, you can play a class in the background, and you can find all of those on my profile, which is already in the Verbling chat box. And I can put in the Google chat box as well for anybody who needs it.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Su Ming, welcome to class.
Good to see you again.
Good to have you with us, Su Ming. How was your weekend?
My weekends I always spend on the beach.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah.
That's a great place to spend the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm jealous. Okay, and Kim, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hey, Kim, we can hear you too now. Welcome to class.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Where are you from, Kim?
I'm from Korea. Maybe my account was changed, so you didn't recognize.
Ah, got it. So same student, but different account.
Yes, I'm from Korea. Yeah.
Awesome. So I put the notes in both chat boxes. You guys can open the notes up yourselves, or you can share off my screen. I'm going to share the notes with you guys now here. And we're going to start to talk about some fairy tales. So first off, I'd like some suggestions of unique fairy tales that come from other cultures. Do you guys have any examples you can give me of fairy tales that come from your culture or that you've heard before from other cultures?
Merlin.
Huh?
Merlin.
Madeline?
Merlin.
Tell us what that's about.
It's about a young, how do I say, a young witches.
Ooh, cool. Young witches. And what happens in this story?
He's he's also a loyal servant who is protect the king Arthur.
Cool. Sounds like an interesting story. Where does that story come from? Do you know?
English, I think, England.
Cool. All right. Any other stories you guys want to volunteer? Or maybe, what is a fairy tale? Let's define what a fairy tale is. Merlin. Yes, now I understand. Yes, Merlin's a good one. So how about Barbara? Can you give a definition for what a fairy tale is?
Maybe a short story which is not true, usually not true, and watching by your children, reading from the children.
Yeah, short stories usually not true. Those are great details about fairy tales. Andre, is there any other ideas you can add to that definition? What makes a fairy tale different from another kind of story?
Maybe some fairy tales have a deep idea or a lesson for children or something like that.
Yeah, frequently they have some kind of lesson involved. Very true. Thanks, Andre. Ali Beck, is there anything else you can add about fairy tales and what fairy tales are, or any examples?
Well, I think fairy tales, fairy definition is maybe very similar to the magic. It's some fantastic story about magicians and their lives, something about that.
Yeah, definitely. That's an important element of fairy tales. Usually in fairy tales, there's some kind of magical element. It might be the characters, like maybe it's about a fairy or a princess or a unicorn or something that isn't real or considered something in reality. Could have a magical charm, a spell, something magical about it. Frequently, they include magic. All right. Does anyone else want to volunteer to tell us about a fairy tale before we take a look at some of the titles of different fairy tales that are internationally common?
Teacher, can I talk?
What's that?
Can you hear me? I make my volume bigger. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you pretty well now.
Oh, thank
Do
you.
you have any fairy tales to share with us?
I want to share a story with you.
Go ahead. We'd love to hear it.
It's called White Swan and Ugly Duckling. Ugly Duckling.
Interesting sounding. So what's it about?
when a little white swan stayed with a group of ducklings. They are not beautiful. They are ugly like the darkies. When mm, when he grew up, he became more and more beautiful. He is not the darkness. He is actually the beautiful swan. That's all. Thank you.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Interesting. I like that one. Thank you for sharing that with us.
When I was a child, my mother told this.
Oh, that's very sweet. I like that fairy tale. All right. Does anyone else have another fairy tale to add to our stories here before we go on and describe some more common fairy tales that you guys are all probably familiar with?
I just pop up my head. I think usually everybody knows that the Tinkerbell from the story of Peter Pan story. Do you know?
Yeah.
Yes, and I think the fairy tales has usually have a wings of their back spine from that. So the fairy tales also usually very pretty or very young, and has a sparkle surrounded of their heads or faces. So it's really beautiful and pretty. I think so.
Yeah. That's an important detail. Fairies are always like magical and beautiful, and princes and princes are really beautiful as well. All right. Excellent details. So now we're going to go on and describe the plot for some common fairy tales. And I'm going to ask some of you guys to pick a fairy tale and describe it. And once a person has described it, I'm going to take it off the list. The first person I'm going to ask to go is Su Ming. Su Ming, will you pick one of those fairy tales and tell us a little bit about the plot? Are you there, Su Ming?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have heard about a fairy tale about the three little pigs.
Excellent. Tell us about that. What's the story there?
This story is talking about the three little pigs. Each pig build a house for them. One pig build a stone house, and another one is build a wooden house. A wood, yeah. And other is just build a house with sand and grass. I remember like that. And then a wolf each brought down a grass house, and then the pig goes to the wooden house with his father. And then a wolf also destroy the wooden house. So the two pigs come to the stone house with also with his father. Yeah, I remember like that. So the wolf cannot break down the stone house like that.
Yeah, exactly. So they're all safe in the stone house. Awesome. Thanks, Su Ming. Next to pick a story from the list is Audie. Can you pick one of those stories and describe the plot for us?
I don't really, I don't really remember actually. But Jack and the Beanstalk is one of my favorite.
Excellent. Describe that one for us.
I try. What I remember is there is a Jack who is poor, and then he had he got a bean from somebody from uh, the beanstalk grew up and then goes into sky. I don't really remember. It's fine, very difficult for me to explain.
Well, you have a very good start. So Jack bought a bean, he planted it, the beanstalk grew into the sky, and what did he find at the top of the beanstalk, Adi?
He find a kingdom. Can I say it is kingdom or thing that there is a giant and ogre. What I remember is the ogre, and then there's a lot of goals and around the house, and then Jack hide into his open I don't know in his
Yeah, so he ends up stealing some of the stuff from these giants, and he becomes very rich.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for describing that one for us, Adi. Next person to pick a story from the list is going to be Kim. Go ahead and pick one of these stories and describe the plot for us.
I will choose the Cinderella.
Excellent. So, what is Cinderella about?
Cinderella, maybe I guess that's maybe 3 or 4 sisters. And the main character is about I don't know, this is a poor woman. I don't know. The maid, maybe. Very pretty maid. War fight against the bad sisters, and they're not the relevant family. So despite of their bad doing for her, she married with a rich prince and to be a princess. So it's a really happy story.
Yeah, the ending is very happy.
Yes.
Right. So how does she end up meeting the prince? Do you remember how she meets him?
Yes. Prince looking for the woman who fits in their shoes, the glass shoes made of glass. So she fits in that pumps shoes. So she was gonna marry with the prince. I think so. Is it right story?
Yeah, exactly. That's the right story. And do you know why she fits into that shoe?
Because she splits the rest of the shoes because she's so late because of she magically changed it with the fairy tales, with the power of fairy tales. Fairy tales actually helps her to change it or make up to be pretty or with like wear some dresses, wear some jewels. So she meets the prince and she spilled her rest of shoes because she's late. So the prince looking for her with the shoes. So I think
Yes.
that's why. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kim.
Thank
All
you.
right, Fernando, you're up next. Can you choose a story and describe the plot?
I'm gonna choose Hansel and Gretel.
Ooh, interesting one. Good. Go ahead and describe the plot of Hansel and Gretel.
I have listened many version of that fairy tale, but the normal mention is a girl and 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 a boy are brothers, and they they are lost in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
And while are walking, they found a house made of candy.
Mm-hmm.
Candy and bakery cakes, stuff like that.
Yes. And then what happens?
They get into the house and found a old woman who gave them food, candies, but the woman was trying to make them fat.
Mm-hmm. Why was she trying to make them fat?
Because she's gonna eat them.
Yes. And then what happens to them? Do they get eaten or do they escape?
No, they escaped.
How do they escape?
I can't remember.
Yeah, actually, I think
I
Go
listened
ahead.
that was their father that found the house and helped them to escape. But there
Yeah,
are
that's
many
one version.
versions of that fairy tale.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's lots of different versions of this one, though some of the endings are different.
Yeah.
Good choice, Fernando. Good description. Thank you. And Barbara, you're up next. Can you choose one to describe for us?
Yeah, Snow White. Uh, Snow White has a cruel stepmother
Mm-hmm.
who thought she is the most beautiful woman in the world. And while Snow White grew up, and she became a very pretty woman. That's why his stepmother became envy her.
Mm-hmm.
And she told the hunter to kill her, but the hunter couldn't do this. Uh, she left her go, and after that, the Snow White goes to the seventh dwarf's house, and she lived with them. One day, her stepmother came to her, but she didn't recognize her, and therefore she accepted her gifts. The third gift, as I remember, was a poisonous apple, and she ate this, and it seemed she died. Therefore, the seven drafts buried her, and in this time came around the prince, and the Snow White woke up, and that after that they got married.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thanks, Barbara. All right, Andre, you're up next. Choose your favorite of these 5 fairy tales to describe for us.
Well, Little Red Riding Hood. It is a story about one girl who who gets a task from her mother to carry some bread and some bread to her grandmother, who lives on opposite sides of the forest. So she goes through forest and meets a wolf. Somehow, wolf lets her go, and then wolf goes to her grandmother, eats her, and occupies the grandmother's place in her bed. When Little Red Riding Hood comes to her grandmother, she finds out that there is that wolf lying in her grandmother's bed, and then wolf gets killed by, I don't remember who.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's a hunter or someone who heard the disturbance, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a violent fairy tale, huh?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Andre.
Okay.
All right. Next up, Ali Beck. Can you choose one of these last 4 fairy tales to describe for us?
Okay. The most of the stories that I know, you described it, but but I think I know the Goldilocks and the 3 bears.
Excellent. Tell us about
Yes.
that one then.
As I remember, it's a story about a girl called Goldilocks. Yes, and she lost in the forest, and she found some home that making the wooden home. She entered to that house. So she began to find some things which were belongs to some 3 bear, but she didn't know it yet. So she used that things, that dishes, or even she has a sleep at their beds. Then the bears came to their house, and they find the Goldilocks, and then I just can remember what was at the end, but I think the Goldilocks is just had ran away from that house.
Yeah, I think she escapes, even though the bears are not very pleased with her.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, that's a pretty good description. Thanks. All right.
Okay.
The last but not least is for Xin Yue. I know that you have the last choice, so do you think you can describe one of these 3 last fairy tales we have on our list?
I want to talk about the Emperor's New Clothes.
Excellent choice. Go ahead and describe this one for us.
When I was a childhood, I heard this story. I only remember the main idea. Long ago, there was a king who wanted to wear the most beautiful clothes in the world.
Mm-hmm.
3 children came to the palace. They told the king they can make the most beautiful clothes for him.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, the 3 children. Finally, the 3 children made the most beautiful clothes for him. The king weared, the king weared the clothes on the street. The the king want the king want to the king wanted the people to enjoy his new clothes.
Mm-hmm.
The king felt very excited when he was walking down the street. But our little boy told the truth. The little boy shouted, "The king had nothing on it. The king, the king was licked."
Yeah. Excellent description. That one is less common than the other ones, but I think it's a really cool one and teaches an important lesson, right? The king was very arrogant and the little boy kind of taught him a lesson. Awesome. Okay. So we went over a lot of fairy tales. Are there any fairy tales you guys would want to add to this list? Can you think of any other fairy tales that we didn't talk about or see on this list yet? Wow, all right. We did a good job then.
I have
Huh?
some stories, but I have to give the choice to the other students. The other students talk.
What are some of the other stories that you would think about to put on this list? Their titles, anyways. You don't have to give a full description, just their titles.
I heard a story called the White Snow.
The what?
The White Snow. The White Snow.
The whitest.
Oh, the
White
snow.
and snow?
Ah, not Snow White?
Oh. I type this. White Snow. I type in the chat box.
Okay. So I think you mean Snow White, right?
Oh, Snow White.
Yeah, I think in English we will reverse it. Snow White. Yeah, that's a good one. That was on our list. Are there any other ones you guys can think of that were not on the list we talked about today?
Maybe Pinocchio.
Ooh, Pinocchio is such a good one. I should add that. Yes, I love that one. Any others? You guys can continue to think about what other fairy tales need to be on our list. And we're going to take a quick quiz. Just a few questions about some of the stories that we just talked about. So number 1 says, who says, "I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down"? I'm going to ask Su Ming, who says that? Is it a giant, a wolf, or a witch?
Oh. Blow your house down is a wolf.
Yeah, it's a wolf. Do you remember which story that comes from?
Come from 3 Little Pigs.
Yep, you're right. Number 2, Snow White eats a poisoned what? Apple, orange, or banana? And this question is for Adi.
Apples.
Yes, a poisoned apple. Thank you. Number 3, Hansel and Gretel find a house made of gold, sweets, or straw. Kim, what do you think? Which is it?
It's a B, sweets.
Yes, excellent. Thanks. Number 4, Cinderella wears, oops, that shouldn't go down that far. Cinderella wears shoes made of glass, gold, or silk. Fernando, do you know?
Glass.
Glass, yeah. Barbara, yours will be number 5. We didn't talk about this one yet, but let's see if you get it anyways. Rapunzel has very long nails, eyelashes, or hair.
It's a very tricky one because I don't know which fairy tales it.
Hair.
Yeah, this one's hard. We didn't talk about it. Does anyone know the answer to this one?
Hair.
Yes, she has very long hair. Excellent. And number 6, how many bears did Goldilocks meet? 1, 2, or 3? And Andre, do you remember?
3.
3, yes. All right. Well done. So for number 5, Rapunzel, the Disney movie came out just a couple years ago, so it's probably more familiar now than it was. But Rapunzel is a princess who is locked in a tower, and she has a magical ability to grow her hair until it comes out of her tower wall, and her, prince boyfriend climbs up her hair and talks to her for a little while and eventually saves her from the person who is imprisoning her there. All right. Do you guys have any other comments or questions on these fairy tales so far?
Teacher, I have a question.
Yeah.
I don't know this word. 5. What is the island? What is
Can you put it in the chat box?
I typed it. I'm sorry.
Great.
I feel a little bit nervous.
So I don't see the word you're talking about. Oh, there it is. Eyelashes. Okay, so can anyone else help us understand what an eyelash is? How about Fernando? What is an eyelash? This is coming from question 5. Fernando, what is an eyelash?
It's a part of the eye.
What part?
The part is I don't know how to explain.
All right, I'll give a pretty quick show here what an eyelash is.
Hair.
These hairs are my eyelashes.
Oh, your eyelash is very beautiful.
Oh,
thank you. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit more about some things that are common to fairy tales. First, we'll talk about some language that's common in fairy tales, like, for instance, once upon a time. Now I'm going to ask all of you to contribute a little bit of vocabulary that we commonly hear in fairy tales. I'll start from the left this time. Ali Beck, what are some other vocabulary words that we frequently hear in fairy tales?
Once upon a time, that's where most phrases. Maybe at the very end, and the happy end. I don't know.
And how do they usually say it? They say happily what? Happily?
Happily?
There's more to it. It's a 3-word expression. Happily ever what?
Happily over evil.
They say happily ever after. Happily ever after.
Oh,
So that's
okay.
good. It kind of helps us see these stories. Usually we have very happy endings to these fairy tales. So we say once upon a time to begin the setup, and then happily ever after at the very end when everything is over and everything is happy. Thanks, Ollie Beck. Andre, can you think of any other expressions or vocabulary terms that we commonly hear in fairy tales?
Yes, a long time ago.
Yes, a long, long time ago. All right. Anything else, Andre?
No, I can't
All right.
recall.
Good enough. Thanks, Andre. Barbara, how about you? Vocabulary or expressions we commonly hear in fairy tales?
I think one day
Yeah, one day.
the sentences begin.
Uh-huh. Definitely. Fernando, can you add to our vocabulary list?
Yeah, now, no,
Huh?
no, I don't know.
I recalled one more.
What else did you think of, Andre?
It is like in the end, the phrase like they all lived happily ever after.
Yes, definitely. They all lived happily ever after. That's how frequently you'll hear a fairy tale end. Awesome. Fernando, did you think of anything else we can add to our list?
No.
That's okay. Keep thinking. And if you remember anything, just let me know.
Okay.
Kim, can you think of any other vocabulary that we can add to our list of fairy tale expressions?
I think usually read about the words of like one day. One day she come up with a prince, or one day she come up with a fairy tales like that.
Definitely. One day. Thanks, Kim. Audie, can you add anything to our list?
Maybe for the vocabulary, there is a crown, golden egg, and princess, prince, king, kind of that stuff.
Yes. Those are great vocabulary words. So we have a lot of those characters that we see frequently again and again. Su Ming, can you add to our list? So far we have they all lived happily ever after, a long, long time ago, one day, crown, gold, princess, king. What else do we commonly hear about in fairy tales, Su Ming?
A rich.
Rich people?
No, witch.
Oh, witches, yes. Witches.
Witches.
Yes, there's definitely a lot of witches in fairy tales relating to magic. Thanks, Su Ming.
Yeah, I have a king, a queen, something. Yeah.
Excellent. Yes. All right. And Xinyue, is there anything else you can add to our list of vocabulary we frequently hear in fairy tales?
Long, long time ago, there was a story called.
I heard a long, long time ago, and then I heard a girl, and I couldn't hear the end of it. Can you repeat that part?
Long, long time ago, there was a story called.
Okay, yeah. We frequently hear the passive voice. That's kind of an interesting point. we hear a lot of passive expressions. So when we're talking about these things, we might say, a girl was in the forest, or something similar where we kind of invert the object instead of saying, well, I guess that would be an active sentence.
In some place and somewhere.
Yeah, the forest was another idea you mentioned that is a popular setting for fairy tales, so we'll add forest to the list as well. And last but not least, Adela, can you add any vocabulary to phrases we commonly hear in fairy tales?
In a far country live a beautiful princess.
Yes, in a faraway country.
Or far kingdom.
Or kingdom, yes. Exactly. We always kind of give the setting, and it's always somewhere far away, somewhere long ago. Excellent. Okay. Any other suggestions to add to our list before I put these in the chat box for you guys?
And they lived in happiness and luxury to this very day.
And they lived happily in what?
They lived in happiness and luxury to this very day.
I see. And they lived in happiness and luxury to this very day.
Yeah.
Nice expression. All right. Anything else you guys want to add?
The main character has the magical power. The main character has the magic power.
I have a little trouble hearing you. Can everyone else hear him okay? Is it just me that I have trouble?
I have trouble too.
All right.
Sorry.
His song is very silent. It should be made louder.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe there's some kind of microphone difficulty, but can you repeat it for us one more time, just a little louder?
The main character has the magic power.
Did he say romantic power?
Magic powers.
Magic power. Got it. Adela has good ears. Magic power. Yes, magic power. All right. So, go ahead.
The dwarfs.
Dwarves. Yeah, that's kind of a fun one that we saw in a couple stories. Dwarves. All right. Cool. Then I'm going to put this list of vocabulary into the chat box, and we're going to talk about one more thing before we go on and write a couple stories. So, the next thing I want to talk about are some things that are in all fairy tales, or all fairy tales have in common. And I don't mean vocabulary, but I'm talking more about like characters, themes, and motifs. So there are some like conclusions. We already talked about how almost all fairy tales have a happy ending, right? They end very happily. So what else do all fairy tales have in common? Let's start with Adela on this one. Can you think of anything else that all fairy tales have in common?
They are fiction. It's not really. Sometimes is have a history, but in the base, but it is not a really history. It's not history.
All right.
Story.
Good point. Yeah, they're not true. Definitely. Ali Beck, are there any other ideas that you see in all fairy tales? We mentioned that they're not real and they end happily ever after. What else do all fairy tales do or have?
The old fairy tales is very common. It's the idea about fighting the good against the evil.
Yes,
when
excellent.
the morality that of all the fairy tales is that when the good is can fight against the evil, and finally the good, and finally the good is win.
Yeah, exactly. We have like extreme goodness and extreme evilness, and they fight until eventually goodness wins. In fairy tales, that's how it happens. Andre, is there any other ideas that you think all fairy tales have in common?
No, unfortunately, no.
All right. I think we got most of the main ideas. Does anyone else have an idea of one more thing that all fairy tales have in common?
I think that's we usually get it from wisdom, even if it's a really short story, but we can get it. Usually, child get it from that they acknowledge about the was really how are we acting like that, or how are we thinking, or it's a really good story. So we can. I think it's about the wisdom we can get it from.
Yeah, they have wisdom or some kind of moral. Yeah, totally.
Yes.
All right. Any other ideas you guys have?
I talk.
Go ahead.
The prince and the princess fall in love.
Love. Yeah, that's an idea that goes through all fairy tales.
They will live together forever.
Excellent. Those are some great ideas. All right, so now we're going to write a fairy tale together. Using some of the vocabulary and the ideas that we just talked about, we're going to create our own fairy tale, and everyone is going to come up with one sentence of our story. So I'm going to start on the left with Adela, and we're all going to continue the same fairy tale. So as we go along, we're going to get more information, and the next student is going to have to include the characters from the sentence before and continue the plot of the story we're writing together. Adela, will you do us the favor of writing the very first sentence for us and give us an idea of what our story is going to be about?
I talk or I write the sentence?
Go ahead and say the sentence for us.
Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom, lived a princess, but she was very scary because lived too in the kingdom a dragon.
Ooh, I like that. And I'm going to put this in the chat box for you guys to follow. A dragon. Okay. There, that one's in the chat box. Now, Ali Beck, you have to continue that story about the princess and the dragon. Go ahead and tell us what happens next.
Actually, I don't remember that story.
Creating your own story. So you get to invent what happens next.
Okay, now I see. Then the dragon kissed that girl, and she turned to the dragon woman.
Ooh! Princess. And she turned into a dragon woman. That's kind of cool.
Yes,
excellent.
I think that's cool story. Yes.
Okay, Andre, do you think you could follow that up?
I will try. When the dragon kissed the princess, while she was turning into another dragon, the dragon turned into a man.
Ooh, I like this. So when the dragon kissed the princess, he turned into a man,
Yeah.
and she turned into a dragon. Cool. Interesting story. I'll put those 2 sentences in the chat box for you guys. And next up is Barbara. Can you continue the story for us?
Yeah, so because of the dragon kissed the princess, and she changed another dragon, as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
The kingdom people will get angry. Therefore, they decided they will go to the hill to kill the main dragon.
Okay, and when you say the main dragon, do you mean the dragon that turned into a man?
A male dragon.
Ah, the male dragon. Okay, to kill the male dragon. Okay, excellent job. I'm going to put this into the chat box. And next up is Kim. You get to continue the story. So the kingdom is angry and they want to kill the thing that was originally a dragon but now looks like a man. So Kim, what happens next? Kim, are you there?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. So you mean that King actually wanna kill the man? So
Yeah.
the man was a dragon actually, right?
Yeah, he was originally a dragon, but then he turned into a man. So everyone wants to kill him because they turned the princess into a dragon. So what happens?
I think this paper could be fun. Despite all the contest of the killing, the opinion of kill the man, but the woman was loved the man, so they go away far away from that.
Interesting.
Because yeah, they don't want to kill.
Okay, so despite all their desire to kill the man, the princess loved him and they went away together.
Yes.
All right. Twist to our plot here. And Audie, you're up next. What happens after they go away together? The man and the princess dragon go away together, and then what?
And then they go to a wide forest where the princess leave all the fancy clothes, all the jewelry that she has, everything that he has he left it in the kingdom. But without all those stuffs, he and then in the jungle they built a house made from wood. But suddenly the dragon who is turned into a man spell the magic words, so the house turns into a gold house.
Okay, so did you say that the house turns into gold?
Yes, because the dragon has magic.
I see. Okay. Interesting. All right, so I'm going to put this into the chat box. They go to a white forest where she brought all of her luxuries and they built a house made from wood, but Suddenly, the dragon turned the house to gold. Very cool story so far. And Su Ming, you get the next sentence.
Let me see. The princess and the prince go to the rice forest. Yeah. Giant house to go. Then the couple they lived in the forest for a long times. Uh, they they had spent their money, so when they want to buy some food for their living, they don't have enough money. So they pick uh, a kilo of grows from their house and then show it to the shop and buys a lot of food uh, to home. Um, uh, finally, okay, let me finally. Finally, they have a baby. So the couple and the baby live very happy in the ghost house. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. So you said that they lived in the forest for a long time until they spent all their money. So they picked roses from the house to buy food? Is that what you said? Roses?
Not rose, a kilo of gold. A kilo.
Oh, so they picked a kilo of gold. Wow.
Yeah.
They picked gold.
Because the house
their
is
house.
made of gold.
Okay, to buy food. And then they had a baby and they lived happily. And the very last sentence of this story is going to be for Xinyue. Can you end this story with your last sentence following up what we just talked about the baby and the gold house?
I'm thinking. It's very difficult for me.
Yeah, this has been a long and complex story. It's been a good one.
I don't have the good imagination.
All right. Well, we've got a pretty good ending already. I guess we could just end it here.
Yeah, because running of time.
And we're a little over on time, so sorry about that, guys. But thank you guys very much for coming, and I hope to see you all again soon.
Okay, see you. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Goodbye.
guys. Bye.
Bye.
See you later.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, good. And Fernando, how are you doing?